Welcome back to Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and in this video I want to talk about Palantir because they released earnings, and in my opinion Palantir is a once in a generation type of investment. I believe a couple decades ago you had the Googles, you had the Amazons, decade later you had the Netflix, the Facebooks, and I think this decade you have plays like the Airbnbs and the Palantirs. And so I believe this is going to be one of the best long-term holds for the next coming decades. And so in this video, I want to go over Palantir's earnings and I want to go over their stock chart just to show you guys exactly where we are in its development. Remember, this stock IPO'd less than a year ago, so it's extremely new to the market, and it entered the market when the market was on an uptrend. And so there's a lot of speculation about whether or not this company is valued too high, valued too low. So we're going to go over that right here. So today Palantir reported earnings and we saw a 49% revenue growth year over year, which equated to about $341 million. And so that was extremely incredible to see, especially because the stock had continued to bleed down and we finally started to see some good news. You could see commercial revenue grew 72%, government revenue grew 83%, cash flows went from 117 to 404 million year over year. This is extremely solid profit margin right here of 34%. You have cash flow of 151 up to 441 year over year, increased on 44% margin. And so overall adjusted earnings per share diluted was about 4 cents. And so overall we saw a lot of good news come out of Palantir. One of the biggest things that I hear about Palantir is that their market cap, which is 37.73 billion, is not justified for the current share price. People believe that the price should be a lot lower because they haven't proven themselves yet to be a company worth so much. However, I do believe that a lot of people are anticipating how fast and how strong the growth of this company is. And after a quarter that we just saw where people thought we were going to see very tough earnings, we blew those earnings out of the water and we beat Wall Street expectations. And so do I feel that Palantir is overvalued? I just believe that this is going to be a strong growth company that people expect to grow at a very high clip. And so the price is hard to gauge, especially for a high growth company, because we've seen the likes of Tesla trade 100 to 1000x price to sales. And so at the same time, when we're looking at a Palantir, I don't think we should treat it any different. Overall, for high growth company, it is very difficult to quantify their fair value, especially when you know that this company in the long term is going to be a powerhouse. And so right now we're looking at Palantir here on the daily time frame. Today we were up a strong 10%. If we look at our volume, we had extraordinary buying volume right here, so much so that it's being hidden by our candle. So you can see right here, we haven't seen volume like this since about February, where we had extraordinary buying right here. And so overall Palantir has been trading in this descending pattern. One thing that I was personally fearful for the stock was a head and shoulders. You can see clear as day, this being a shoulder, this being a head, this being a shoulder. And usually when you get this type of pattern, the price action after this point does tend to go down. And so that's exactly what we were seeing. But then we saw a strong earnings report. You could see people started to accumulate Palantir stock once again. And we saw our price action get back into our channel. Now that our price action is back into this channel, that is actually extremely bullish price action, because now we are in a distinct price channel that we have a history in. And so you could see we have treated as resistance multiple times as well as support. So if you're in this stock, look for this level of support to hold. You could see we crossed down from our 100-day SMA. This right here is a bearish signal, and right now we are trading below all of our SMAs. You could see that this stock does not even have a 200-day SMA because it hasn't even been 200 days on the market. And so overall, the next steps for this stock is to see if we can hold this level of support. Personally, if we get a bounce off this support line, I do expect Palantir to come all the way back up to this $25 level range and test resistance again. And so personally, the way I see Palantir is this is a stock that I am going to continue to trade in the short term, and I am going to find opportunities to buy long when I see fit. The reason why I'm saying that is because the market is at all-time highs and this company just freshly got off the market. There's a lot of people talking about the company being overvalued, market cap doesn't match what they're actually bringing to the table, etc., etc. I just see opportunities in these new, fresh companies that have just IPO'd onto the market. They're extremely volatile. They have very crazy swings, but after a point in time, there is usually a distinct bottom where the stock trades at a very low level for a very long time. And because the Nasdaq has gone absolutely insane and Palantir is on the Nasdaq, it is a tech play. If the Nasdaq goes down, Palantir, just because it's on the Nasdaq, is also going to get hit, which is why I don't want to open a long position yet because of where the markets are at. However, that does not mean that Palantir is not a good trading opportunity. Clear as day, you could see if we hold support, this is a very nice swing play till about 25, because we usually do get a back test of this level of resistance. A more conservative trade within that swing trade would be a sell at our 50-day SMA. And so if we get our back test here, it is almost certain that we will get a back test of our 50 SMA, which is at around $23. And so Palantir could be a very nice options play or a swing trade depending on whatever your taste is. And so for me, again, Palantir is a very great company that I want to trade and eventually have a long position in. Like I say, there haven't been many stocks for myself because I am a younger investor. I haven't had those once in a generation type stocks. I wish I was there for Google when it first came up, Amazon when it first came up, Netflix when it first came up, but I wasn't there for that. But I am here this year. We had the likes of Airbnb IPO. We had the likes of Palantir IPO. I just believe that there's always innovation that is going to come up. There's always going to be those once in a generational type of investments where if you buy now and you just hold forever, they're going to be a strong foundation and a strong anchor for your portfolio. I believe Palantir is one of those stocks. There is just too much upside for this stock to not have a strong future. There's too many companies that depend on their software and their data, and they get the best of both worlds with government contracts as well as company specific contracts. And so Palantir is definitely a long-term hold. Is it a buy at these levels? I personally think it is even a buy at these levels. I just think if the market continues to correct further, we may get Palantir as low as 15, maybe as low as 10 back to its IPO price. And so that is kind of where I expect to have a long position. But until then, I do think Palantir is a very strong candidate to trade. We had an extremely strong earnings report today here on Palantir. Crazy price action. We are now back into our former pattern. Even though it is a descending pattern, there is some room to make some money here on a swing play. If we look at the type of investors that have held Palantir, if you look at Cathie Wood's ARK Invest, if you look at Ray Dalio, you have a lot of big names that have had their stakes here in Palantir, and I expect that to grow more and more. There was rumors that Palantir was going to invest in Bitcoin and also accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. And so again, if they do that, that is just going to add to their digital and their tech portfolio. Buying a Palantir right now is like buying a Google 20 years ago, and 20 years from now, you're going to look back at Palantir like, damn, I should have bought it when it was at 20, 30, 40, because at the end of the day, I believe Palantir will eventually be over $100 stock. It is just that valuable in society. The more tech-driven and digital era we start to push forward, that is just going to benefit Palantir. I can't even say that the sky's the limit for Palantir because I think it can go a lot higher than that. There's just too much bullish news coming out. The company has continued to grow at a rapid pace. You can see by their numbers. And so overall, it just got onto the market. Very solid long-term investment that had a crazy earnings report. On a technical level, we are back in our former trading pattern. And so right now, everything looks pretty nice here on Palantir. However, the one big flaw in this situation is that the markets are near all-time highs, and we do expect to see a short-term correction on the Nasdaq. And if you were able to scoop shares in below $20 on Palantir, I think you are going to be in a very healthy position in the long term. Overall, if you're a shareholder of Palantir, I believe you guys are not nervous at all because this is going to be just a strong play that you just have to hold through all the ups and the downs. When a company gets on the market, especially as highly anticipated as a play like Palantir, there's going to be a lot of news out there that is going to try to get you to sell your position. and someone else is going to buy it. And so if you're a believer on Palantir, this earnings should give you more conviction that this company is a beast and it is growing exponentially. Crazy high growth company. And if you haven't already heard about Palantir, Palantir is here and it is going to be a big winner this next coming decade. And so if you guys enjoyed this update video on Palantir, don't forget to like. We are on the road to 10K subs, so if you made it to this point, feel free to hit that subscription button. This is Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.